I got a question for you, Tank. At 147, how does a fight with you and Terence Crawford look?
Damn.
147. Shit, if I
147.
tap that chin, you know he going to sleep.
I already know. I already know
he
he
ain't
is.
got no chin.
I already know he is.
He said no chance.
The rivalry between Tank Davis and Crawford is continuing to heat up in the boxing world, and it seems like these two will be at it for quite some time. For years, Crawford and Tank have debated who could knock the other out. But recently, the focus has shifted to who makes more money and who has the bigger wife, literally. After Tank made things personal, it was clear that Crawford and most fans would push back. Now, after Tank suggested a fight between himself and Crawford, Terence Crawford had enough. He decided to speak the bitter truth directly to Tank's face. Crawford, clearly frustrated, took to X, formerly Twitter, to send a blunt message to Davis. Stop being scared and fight Shakur Stevenson. And
right, grow some balls and fight Shakur, Keyshawn, and stop being scared. That's probably why you ran your girl over and beat her ass, because she know you ain't got no nuts, my people. You know? And then right there, Gervonta pretty much insinuated, if I was to fight Crawford, I'll make him look little. Then they both said, yeah, I want dudes to see me and try something. That would be his last going for greatness. And then Terence said, go for it then, you
Crawford's call-out is personal. Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis are more than just fighters. They're close friends of Crawford, with Keyshawn even being his protege under the guidance of their shared trainer Brian B.A.C. McIntyre. But let's be honest, Keyshawn Davis hasn't exactly proven himself on the big stage. His performances against Miguel Madueño and Nahir Albright were lackluster, to say the least. Fans are quick to point out his refusal to face Cuban phenom Andy Cruz, who humiliated him 4 times in the amateurs. However, this is the level Crawford believes Tank should be at, rather than constantly mentioning his name. While there's
Gervonta Davis speaking about you. Is that ever a possible fight?
Yeah, if he want to dare to be great, he can be like all the other fighters that's moving up 2 weight classes and, daring to be great.
You would fight him.
Man, tell him to come up there.
He got to come to win 54.
He said I got a glass chin, so tell him to come and touch it.
Wow.
Unsurprisingly, Tank isn't interested in the 2 names mentioned by Bud. Devin Davis has built a reputation as a box office superstar. He knows his worth and has no intention of giving Keyshawn the spotlight, especially when Keyshawn doesn't bring a fan base or marketability to the table. Then there's Shakur Stevenson. While technically brilliant, Stevenson has been labeled by critics as boring due to his defensive style. Even Eddie Hearn, who signed Shakur in hopes of turning him into a global sensation, might be facing an uphill battle trying to market him in the U.S. Tank doesn't
Terence
see a
Crawford,
fight
with that
Shakur
intense gaze
as
of his,
worth the
throws
risk
down
or
the
effort,
gauntlet at
especially
Gervonta
when
Tank
he would be
Davis.
carrying the
It
entire
was pure
promotional
fireworks.
weight. Still, Crawford wasn't done. This time, he took things up a notch with a scathing tweet that has since been deleted, mocking Tank's character and even bringing up his personal controversies. That's probably why you ran your girl over and beat her ass, because you don't get no nuts, and she knows it, Crawford tweeted, ending his message with a laughing emoji. We've seen boxing rivalries before, but none have escalated like this one, especially considering the 2 beasts involved. Normally, we have fighters dissing each other's careers or fighting styles, but when you start bringing up family and throwing dirt on each other's personal lives, that's when things get out of hand. The personal jabs are brutal, and it's clear how deep this feud has gone. Crawford isn't just questioning Tank's career decisions, he's going after his pride. Tank Davis didn't take the insult lying down. This came after Tank accused Crawford of chasing paydays instead of chasing greatness. According to Tank, Crawford's decision to call out Canelo Alvarez for a fight in Saudi Arabia is more about securing a massive retirement check than it is about legacy. Y'all really think he's chasing greatness? Tank said on X. He's not. That's what he has to do to make decent money. The numbers seem to back up Tank's claim. Crawford's last fight against Israel Madreov reportedly brought in a measly $75K to...
You got guys who are really, really, really good, and they're not really hell-bent on becoming a star. I put you in that category. I put Terence in that category. Maybe Shakur, where they feel like they don't really want to, like, Terence ain't bothered about going to premieres.
Crawford, however, has a different perspective. He claims that moving up 2 weight divisions to fight the unified super middleweight champion is about cementing his place in boxing history. Legacy is the word he uses. But Tank isn't buying it. For Davis, Crawford's attempt to jump 2 divisions without first proving himself at 168 lbes reeks of desperation. Fans are divided on this issue, with some praising Crawford's ambition and others siding with Tank, believing that the Canelo fight is more about dollars than glory. The tension between Crawford and Davis isn't new. It dates back to the aftermath of Crawford's dominant victory over Errol Spence Jr. As Crawford celebrated becoming the undisputed champion, Tank Davis made headlines by claiming he could beat Crawford at 147 lbs. Crawford, appearing on The Breakfast Club, responded calmly, but confidently, reminding everyone that there are levels to boxing. If he comes up to 147 thinking he's just going to knock Terence Crawford out, he...
How you feel about that fight? Is it even possible at a catch weight?
There ain't no catch weight. You come up to 47.
Not even entertaining a catch weight.
No, I'm not.
He's a champ though too, undefeated.
And what champ? Come on, man, tell me what belt. You know boxing. You forgot Devin Haney is undisputed. Devin Haney got all the belts. He the champ. Nobody else the champ. I'm gonna come up here where the big boys at.
All right, I'll welcome.
Despite the war of words, a fight between the two seems unlikely. Crawford has his sights set on Canelo Alvarez, a matchup that promises both legacy and financial rewards. Meanwhile, Tank Davis has his next opponent lined up, Lamont Roach Jr., with a fight scheduled at the Barclays Center on March 1st. Fans of both fighters are left to wonder, is this all just talk, or could there be a future where Crawford and Davis step into the same ring? What makes this rivalry even more fascinating are the controversial takes swirling around it. Some fans and analysts argue that Crawford is punching down by engaging with Tank at 135 lbs. Tank is significant
with ego. Like if you hear somebody like Tank say 147, I knock Bud out.
Well, he just talking. Mm-hmm. You know, he got the confidence in himself that he believed that he can do that because he's been knocking all these fighters out that he's been in the ring with. You know, so no knock to Tank, but there's definitely levels. You know, and
there's the issue of marketability. Crawford might not be the PPV draw that Tank is, but his accomplishments speak for themselves. Should legacy outweigh popularity in the boxing world? Tank, on the other hand, is no stranger to controversy. His critics accuse him of cherry-picking opponents and avoiding the toughest challenges in his division, including Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. Crawford's comments about Tank being scared resonate with those who feel that Davis has yet to prove himself against the very...
If you want to retire with the career that he got, then go ahead and do whatever you got to do. So I disagree with it. I think it's soft, but that's on him.
Terence Crawford has ended 31 of his 41 bouts inside the distance, while Tank Davis boasts 28 knockouts in 30 fights. If these two wrecking balls of the sport ever collided, it would be pure chaos in the ring, and chaos is where legends are forged. Crawford's precise dismantling of opponents stands in sharp contrast to Davis's jaw-dropping detonations that seem to materialize out of thin air. Yet both men share one unassailable truth. When they smell blood, the fight is as good as over. Brian Norman Jr., a man who has sparred with Crawford, perhaps put it best. He painted a picture of a younger version of himself being taught a painful lesson in maturity by Crawford. According to Norman, Crawford doesn't rely on singular fight-ending bombs, but instead employs a systematic dissection. A slow death by 1,000 pinpoint punches. He doesn't necessarily one-shot people, but what he does is he just beats you up and then he kills you, Norman said. On the flip side, Norman reserved his highest praise for Davis when it came to raw, unfiltered power. As far as one-shot power, I gotta give that to Tank, he said. But here's the rub. Crawford's brilliance lies in his ability to adapt on the fly, switching stances and exploiting holes in real time. That's not to say Davis doesn't have a boxing IQ. On the contrary, his ring smarts are criminally underrated. Yet it's hard to shake the thought that Davis thrives more in chaos, whereas Crawford is the ultimate puppeteer, pulling strings until his opponent becomes an unwitting participant in their own demise. When Roy Jones Jr. weighed in on the hypothetical matchup, he didn't shy away from praising Davis's explosiveness. That's the one thing that Tanks got that Errol Spence didn't have in boxing. An explosive fighter can go a lot of places, Jones said. His words carry weight. Spence, an elite technician, couldn't deal with Crawford's adjustments and suffocating pressure, but Davis is cut from a different cloth, a predator who can change a fight with a single soul-snatching punch. Critics might point to Davis's level of